no. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Eminent domain, we say no. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Eminent domain, we say no. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
Teresa, you want to give me a 60-second rundown about what we're doing here tonight?
Right. We are protesting Maryland Heights Great Streets Initiative. In this Great Streets Initiative, what they plan to do is narrow the street down, eliminate lanes in favor of bike paths. They're seizing about half of the entire corridor under a TIF, which means that they'll be taking the property under eminent domain. We want to protect our businesses. They're driving the businesses out in favor of bringing in out-of-state developers.
I think of past years, and my eyes swell with tears, that so many forgot what it cost. Homes take for gain, let the powerful privilege reign. Where always comes first, thieving, greed at its worst, and they call it eminent domain, and they call it eminent domain. Eminent domain, we say no. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Eminent domain, we say no.
I have a lot of other things that are going on in this building, and that's only one item of everything that's going on. So I just want you need to keep it down. I got people still working the phones and people that want to go to Aquaport and to our parks. We have a lot of other stuff going on than just the Great Street situation.
We have Maryland Heights Police okay on everything.
I understand. Okay. I'm not disagreeing with your right to protest.
Okay.
You guys are getting loud. I have things that are going on in the building other than the Great
But we
Street.
have a right to be loud on this street.
Are you going to listen to what I'm saying?
I am, but I
Just
have
open
a
your
right
mind.
to protest.
I didn't say that. Are you going to listen to what I said? Just listen. Open your mind for 2 seconds. All I ask. I'm not saying you don't have the right to protest. Everybody does. We are American. I'm an American. God bless you. But I have other programs going on too. So I hope you would take that into consideration.
What time do you close?
We don't close till 9 o'clock.
So
It
you
may
have
be
people
10.
Making phone calls until 9 o'clock?
Yeah, I got a
Like
whole
what kind of
business.
phone calls are you making at 6 o'clock?
We're not making phone calls.
Okay,
People
thank
are
you.
calling us.
Just want to make sure.
Your boss is Mayor Muller.
No. We're the Parks and Recreation Department, not planning and zoning. I have Aquaport, I have parks that are running, I have softball leagues, I have basketball leagues, I've got karate classes.
I can give you his number if you'd like to call him.
I know Mayor Muller. He's a very good friend of mine. Are you going to listen to me?
Don't
I have
touch me.
other things
Don't touch
going
me.
on.
Right to protest.
Please don't put your hand on
I have the
her.
right to stop us from protesting.
I just want you to listen to me for a second.
And we
Well, we
can
have
have
Other programs, ma'am, I have other programs going on. That's all I'm trying
Can
to
you do
say.
me a favor? Can you go inside there and just listen and see how loud this bullhorn is?
Sure.
I'm
I just want to see how loud. Can you
I'm
confirm
just
that?
asking.
I'll go listen.
Can you listen for me? I appreciate that.
I'm
Can you
just
go
asking.
What are you concerned about? Why are you protesting?
Well, because we actually attended the other Maryland Heights meetings, and I'd say the main reason is because when we attended them and they were asking for the community input, the Mayor Muller was very disingenuous in what he really wanted from the people. What he said he wanted was the input of the people, and yet when I said if the people of Maryland Heights didn't want it, would he stop it if we gathered a whole bunch of signatures on a petition? I said, would 1 million signatures on a petition? And he said 1 million signatures on a petition would not stop this plan. And so they're not listening to the people of Maryland Heights, and even them asking us if we're residents. It's funny because all they cared about was a room full of planners that are mainly from out of state in that room. I mean, they're not even from Missouri, much less, many of them that we talked to were from Colorado in that room. And there's going to be a payoff for them if they do this. So we're just really concerned about property rights. We're worried about them making the streets more congested so that we have to walk or bike to work. I mean, they're coming out with these studies that 70-something% of people want to take their bike to work. And we're just really looking out for the people of Maryland Heights because we don't feel that their great streets are great. I mean, every part of their plan that they've discussed with us has been great.
And one of my concerns with this entire Great Streets is the fact that we're driving local business owners out of the area and we're going to replace them with out-of-state developers.
How do you know that?
Already they've shut down Pioneer Lumber. The business I used to own, there were vacant lots next door for years. People would come knocking on our door wanting to invest and develop those areas. The city kept telling them that this is not the type of business we want in our area. And so now they've blighted that entire area, which means they can seize it under eminent domain. You know, if they would have allowed organic development in this area, they wouldn't have a need for blighting or tipping anything. And the danger of that, speaking with the city planner, is that they can seize it.
Yes, we're protesting because the mayor of Maryland Heights, Mike Moeller, would not listen to our grievances here on this project, and he said that 1 million signatures wouldn't stop it. He also gave me a quarter and told me to call somebody who cared. So I like to say that's exactly what we did. We called people who care about their property rights, that care about driving their cars wherever they want to go, be it their job or any fun thing they like to do.
All right, let me see if I get this right. The mayor gave you a quarter and told you to call someone who cares?
That's right. That's what he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who did you call?
So I called all you guys.
Okay,
and you guys cared. You showed up.
Yes, very good turnout. Very good.
Yes, sir.
You want to give us a 60-second rundown about why you're protesting here today?
I'm protesting here today because, you know, you see a lot of these signs and they try to say that, oh, that could never happen. Well, we see this past week that the IRS and the NSA is wiretapped. And, you know, we've been saying that for a long time and they've been dismissing it. Well, it's coming out and we can't give up. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep encouraging people to come out. And I'm pleased we've got a good turnout. And when we talk to people now, they're not so much dismissing us anymore because of the recent exposure of the IRS, the NSA, and all these big government organizations that are taking our freedom away. And we've got people dying in wars. We've got children losing their fathers, missing their fathers. And while these guys are here raping our country, pillaging and plundering, and somebody's got to stand up and fight here while they're fighting over there. And that's why I'm here.
All right, great. Thank you.
They even come back. I don't know. Is that where they are? They actually park in their driveway. I just
Why would you doubt it? Don't you want to protect the property rights of your citizens in Maryland Heights?
Yes, certainly do. Along Bennington. Office area. There was a developer who floated it.
Well,
and,
here you can see who drafted it. But I mean, why wouldn't you want to protect the citizens' property rights? Why would you? Why would you not sign this saying that you want to protect your citizens' property rights?
Here, give it to me, and I have my attorney look at it.
Sure. And so when are you going to get back to me then on this? Because you already said you seriously doubt it. So when do you think you might get back to me?
The city rarely says how
on this?
I don't know.
I want to thank you all for coming here tonight. The purpose of this meeting is to share the draft recommendations for the
I have an
Dorsett
office
Road.
and a home on Fifi Road, which adjoins Dorsett. I drive down Dorsett every single day. I used to have 5 parking spaces in front of my office, and now I have 2 parking spaces in front of my office, or I will when they finish Fifi Road. And you talk about all these plans, and you act like this is voluntary, but I know as a business person, this stuff isn't voluntary. All they wanted to do to Fifi Road was to just improve it, put a sidewalk on Fifi Road, and they used eminent domain or the threat of eminent domain in order to get our property. And we know that this leads to eminent domain. And this is something that you're not talking about. You're talking about like this is voluntary, and I know this is not voluntary. When it comes time to do all this, I know you're not going to give these property owners a choice. If you want to plant a tree on their property, you're going to take the property, all right, and you're going to plant the tree, all right. So don't tell us, don't tell us that this is all voluntary. It's not going to be voluntary. You're going to force these property owners to do this, all right, which is, as you know, I was at the last meeting and I spoke, and you probably got tired of some of the things that I said, but I said I'm a free market fella. All right, I believe that the property owners along Dorsett Road should have a choice with what they're going to do with their property. I don't believe the city can come in and say, well, we're going to allow these apartments to stay here for now, but down the road somewhere we may change these apartments to some other type of use, rezone it for something else. All right, well, what about the property owner there? I mean, doesn't the property owner have a choice as to what he wants to do with his property? But my point that I want to make, and I just want to express what my fear is here, and my fear is here that this is going to end up down the road. Right now you're talking about it, and it all sounds real good. You talk about all the great things you're going to be doing. It all sounds great, things that people want. But when it comes down the road to the time to implement this, I know what you'll do. You'll use eminent domain, which means you'll take property from people or take parts of their property, or you'll take entire property, or you'll rezone it to where they can't have their own kind of business that they have in there. And so that you'll put your own business in here. And this is central planning. I mean, when I see this group here, what I see central planners. All right, and central planning didn't work for North Korea. It didn't work for Soviet Union, and it's not going to work for America either. I believe in the free market, and I believe that the private property owners on Dorsett should have the choice of what they're going to do with their product, with their property. And you say that it's voluntary, and I just don't believe it, because I know I see this happen all the time. It happened to my property. I know that when push comes to shove, when you want that property, you're going to use eminent domain. We see it all over St. Louis, and you're going to take people's property.
Can I speak to one part of your question? First of all, we aren't implementing the plans.
Right.
We've been directed.
You're the central planners.
We wish we had that much control.
To your question about zoning, specifically what we raised.
I kind of wish we don't.
Fair enough.
I don't really want the job of being central planner. But we specifically raised the question that particularly when you get your side of 270, it's all zoned industrial. So there's essentially, at least the way the code reads, there's one from, a pretty limited range of permitted uses. What we suggested, probably not going as far as you would want it to, is that you reconsider the zoning in that area, make it a broader range of allowed uses, so a property owner has more options for what they can do with their property. Okay, so I will acknowledge that doesn't go as far as you would like it to, but our observation is when we've worked with these quarters that have a lot of vacancies in their buildings or vacant properties, a lot of times they are zoned for one particular use, so it gives the property owner a lot fewer options to respond to the market. So my answer may not be sufficient for you, but I will tell you our recommendation would be to move toward a direction that created a lot more opportunities.
Right. Can you just assure us that you will not use eminent domain?
I'm gonna go back to it. I'm not gonna assure anybody anything, because I'm not gonna implement it. So I'm not gonna guarantee you what someone else might do.
Wouldn't that be a question?
That's a question for the city or candidly the county, because the county owns the right of way.
What about a mayor? Or can you assure us that you're not going to use eminent domain to take property there, to put a tree on it, or a sidewalk, or?
I can say at this time we were not going to use eminent domain for along Dorsett Road.
At this time, right? But this is a long-term project.
Right, but I can't speak for future elected officials, certainly, as nobody else can.
Right.
We have
So
no
as long as you're elected, you won't? As long as you're elected, you won't use eminent domain?
I've said that before.
Great.
And I got it on tape.
And that's why you're gonna sign that sheet, right? Saying that you won't use eminent domain.
No, I didn't say I was going to do that. I said I'll have the attorney look at it and I'll get back with you.
Did you say you wouldn't? Did you say that you had something?
Can everybody
Sign
sign?
What?
Just a comment.
Can I
As
finish
you're
mine?
speaking, you can't just tell us where you're from and then please
I live in
proceed.
Overland on the very east end of where at the Midland area.
Okay.
And my wife works in Maryland Heights, and I do business, and I spend money in Maryland Heights. But so you said that you have a form
Yes.
that would
Yes.
guarantee that there would be no personal property or.
Yes, that he won't use eminent
And
domain.
you just said that you wouldn't do it as long as you were the mayor, but you won't sign. Why wouldn't you want to sign it? I'm just curious.
I didn't say I wouldn't sign it.
So you would sign that tonight?
No.
You just said you wouldn't then. Wait a minute, you said.
She just handed me a piece of paper tonight, and I asked her where it came from, and she gave me some kind of thing on it, and I said I would have the attorney look at it, and I'll get back with you. I'm not in the habit of signing contracts or signing
Oh, is it a
things.
contract or is it?
Well, if I sign it, you're gonna act like you hold me to it. I assume that's a contract.
Well, ma'am, so is it a real plain document? I mean, do you
Yeah, I
need
mean,
an
it's very
attorney to look at it?
straightforward. It's very straightforward. It's saying you're not gonna use eminent domain.
That has nothing to do with what we're
Other
talking
questions?
about.
I'm gonna just, we have a couple other questions or something. We'll come back to you.
People are really freaked out on government today, and if anybody's seen the news about what's happened in the past weeks, there's a big mistrust. I think that's why a lot of these things are coming up.
I understand your frustration, and I'm not here to argue with you.
Well, I'm not arguing.
Okay?
I'm just
But
trying to.
I think we've done a pretty damn good job here in Maryland Heights.
Why are you
Okay?
cussing?
Oh, for God's sake.
We haven't, we haven't abused our power. We've been financially responsible. We've got a good city. We're trying to improve it.
There's a trust issue.
Okay, I understand that.
And when I hear the
But
lady ask about it-
the city, just like anything else, and like you and everybody in this room, you can't stand still. You're either going backwards.
We don't want progress.
Okay? You're either going backwards or you're going forward. You don't stand still, and we don't want to go backwards. So that's why we're trying to get this long-range plan for Dorsett Road, among other things, so that when you as a property owner or you as a businessman come into town want to do something, that we have a plan that's makes some sense for the future. That's what we're trying to do.
But I need to be secure in my property.
Correct.
Know that nobody's gonna come and bully me.
Nobody's gonna bully.
How does
Well,
that fit in
wait.
your plan when you tell me here's a quarter, call someone who cares? That's not bullying?
Listen,
Is that not bullying?
But you've been bullying all night.
you've been bullying. That's all you've been doing. Okay? The gentleman asked a question and you won't even let him finish and answer the question or me finish, and you gotta open your
Well,
mouth.
because you were saying you're not bullying, and that's not true. You bully. Okay, let's move on to a couple other questions. Sir.
Yeah, and I understand.
And I tell you what the problem with Dorsett Road is. You can't drive down Dorsett Road without seeing somebody pulled over by a cop writing a ticket for revenue generation. All right, my question is, with the continuing declining economy and spending tax dollars here and continuing falling in your tax revenues, are you going to send the cops out for revenue generation even more than you're doing it now? Because you got a freaking police state here. This is Survival Doc reminding you, be prepared to be fleeced.
Can you all join me in singing the national anthem together? Would you be willing to do that? Sure. Just like it was a ball game. Yeah, you know what to do. All right. See if I can get a note we can all agree on. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the but definitely sing on the chorus, okay? Because everybody knows this from grade school, I think. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was driving, there was a sign